currently have an insane amount of carrots in our house, and there's only so much carrot salad that I can get myself to eat. So I'm going to be making a carrot cake, or attempting to make a carrot cake in this video. For the cake, you're going to need 1 splash of vanilla, 4 room temperature eggs, 250 grams of room temperature or softened butter, 150 grams of sugar, a pinch of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon if you like cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 250 grams of flour. I'm just using all-purpose flour, but you can use any flour that you prefer. 50 grams of ground nuts. I'm using walnuts, but I'm assuming hazelnuts would taste just as good. I'm also using around 170 grams of grated carrots. For reference, that was like 4 carrots this big. And I did try to squeeze out some of the carrot juice just because I don't want the cake to be super moist and all the carrots to leach all the water into the cake. And lastly, you're going to need 1 to 3 tablespoons of milk, depending on how your dough is coming together. Like any dough, all we're going to do is add the butter, sugar, salt, and vanilla into a big mixing bowl and let that whisk until it's super light and fluffy and you can't feel any of the graininess of the sugar. At that point, we're just gonna add our eggs one at a time, and then at the very end, add in all the dry ingredients with the carrots and the milk. That being said, I'm going to preheat my oven, before I forget like I did last time, to 180 degrees Celsius or 360 degrees Fahrenheit. I use convection, but if your oven doesn't do that, don't worry about it. So my oven also automatically changes the heat. So instead of 360 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm pretty sure it does 335 degrees Fahrenheit with convection. Yeah, just go with whatever your oven does or what you know, and yeah. The butter sugar mixture has been whisking up for maybe 5 minutes, and it's pretty much at the consistency that you want it to be. So it's thickened up a little bit and it's super fluffy, and it's definitely a lot lighter in color than it was before. At this point, I'm just gonna start adding in my eggs one at a time until everything's super nice and incorporated. All the eggs are incorporated now, so I'm going to switch the KitchenAid attachment from the whisk to this one. I have no idea what it's called, but it has a little paddle thing on the side, kind of like a spatula, so I'll be using this. So now all I'm going to do is slowly add in my 4 dry ingredients here. I'm going to end up spooning in the flour a bit at a time, just to make sure that 1, it doesn't go everywhere, and 2, that there's not going to be a lot of chunks or little pockets of flour. It'll just help get things incorporated. And then at the very end, I'm going to fold in the carrots. All the dry ingredients are all incorporated now, and I don't think I'm actually going to be using any of the milk. I quite like the consistency of this dough. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but it's just really fluffy. It's not too runny, it's not too thick. So the last thing I'm going to do now is just fold in all of my grated carrots. I already went ahead and lined my little baking loaf here. So to do that, all I did was just add a little bit of butter so the parchment can stick better to it, so I don't have to like hold it down with one hand and try to pour everything in with the other. That way it's all there, it's all stuck down there, and I don't have to worry about it. There are two little open sides on the edges, but I'm not gonna worry about it. It usually works out in the end anyways. I'm just gonna transfer all of this into the little tin now and then bake it for 60 minutes. Now, I am not a big fan of cream cheese frosting, which usually goes on top of a carrot cake. So instead, I'm going to be making a glaze with the juice of like half a lemon and however much powdered sugar I need in order to make like this gloopy consistency. Instead of lemon juice, you can also use a splash of milk or however much milk you're going to need in order to get the consistency that you want. So in order to make a glaze, all you gotta do is add your liquid to a bowl and then keep adding powdered sugar and whisking it together until you kind of get that liquid glue consistency. Now this is kind of the consistency that you want. It's pretty thick and gloopy, which is ideal. Now if it was really thin, what would happen is it would run off the cake and would also be a really thin layer, so it would look kind of clear. So instead what you want is you do want it to be this thick, which will allow it to be a bit of a thicker layer on top, and it'll also look a lot more white, which kind of resembles that cream cheese frosting, but it's just a little different. I'm just gonna set this aside until the cake is completely cooled off before brushing it onto the top surface of it. If you have any left over, you can always just place it in the fridge and leave it there for a couple of days if you find something else to do with it, like decorate cookies or decorate another cake with it. The carrot cake is all chilled, so I'm just going to spread the glaze that we made earlier all over the top, and then I'm just going to sprinkle on some of these chopped walnuts as well. And then it's all done.